Okay. So, wait, why did it go here? Okay. So we used a various amount of measures to code the performance. The first scale was a scale that evaluated the level of success in solving a problem. And this scale included the efficacy level, the ability to understand the problem, which was a scale that referred to the ability to understand both the concept of color and the concept of weight, as you saw that the weight was different in the different colored blocks, and the amount of time up to the solution that was measured in seconds. If the children didn't succeed, then after 3 minutes, we intervened and helped the children so as to limit the amount of their frustration during the process. Since we were interested in the quality of interaction during the collaborative problem solving, we also coded the behaviors that were demonstrated by the children throughout the interaction. The observation and evaluation of behaviors during the problem-solving scenario included 2 different dimensions. The first dimension was the dimension of individual behaviors that were not directed towards the partner. And they included investigative behaviors in which you could see during the movie that the children would investigate the blocks or investigate the scales. Individual manipulation of the objects would be, for example, when one child put the block into the balancing scales without looking at his partner or checking to see if he would follow his lead, or irrelevant behaviors, which would be behaviors such as banging the blocks or throwing them on the floor or all sorts of other activities which were not with the problem-solving procedure. The other dimension of behaviors that we were checking were behaviors that were directed towards the partner. For example, attention directing, when the child would call his partner's name or say, "Hey, look at this." Sharing comments related to the success or failure of the problem-solving procedure. As we saw, they were screaming the word yesh in Hebrew, which means we solved it, we succeeded. Coordinating by words and gestures, which was when one child would say to the other, "Take the blue block, like me," or he would point at a blue block and he would show him with gestures that that was the block he meant. And responsiveness to partner, which was measured as such when the partner did or responded to the child's comments or instructions. The third scale was a general evaluation scale that evaluated the quality of interaction in regards to the shared fun and the reciprocity throughout the interaction. The reciprocity was evaluated according to the level in which the partners planned and worked together. The theory of mind measures included 2 first-order tasks, the unexpected location tasks and the false belief tasks. In the unexpected location tasks, we asked the child to predict and to explain the actions of a doll who had to choose a box with or without a logo after having seen which box contained that specific object. We coded the child's ability according to their answers in the prediction and the explanation tasks. In the false belief tasks, we asked the child to predict the doll's actions after having received a nice or a nasty surprise. We coded their abilities, again, according to their predictions regarding the doll's feelings. The executive function measures also included 2 tasks, the flexible item selection task, the FIST, and the Tower of London. In the FIST, the cognitive shifting ability of the child was evaluated. We showed the child a card with 3 pictures. You have one up here as an example. And the child had to point out the 2 different categories. As you can see here, I will see if, okay, you have a blue ship and a yellow ship, okay, which is the shape category. And then you have a blue teapot and a blue ship, which is a color category. So he had to shift between the 2 dimensions. The general score was calculated according to the amount of correct answers throughout the 15 tasks given. In the Tower of London task, the planning ability of the child was evaluated. Here, too, the general ability was coded according to the correct amount of answers given throughout the 12 hierarchical tasks we gave the child. Okay, so the main study results for collaborative problem solving were as following. As you can see, we found a significant group effect only for the amount of time until the solution of the problem, as the children with the typical development solved the problem faster in comparison to the children in the high-function ASD group. We also found, with regards to all three categories of the level of success, a significant master-novice profile, in which the children in both groups were more efficient, understood the problem better, and were also faster in their second experience beyond group and partner type. The group differences on the behavioral scale, individual measures. Even though here you can see that the ASD group was higher on all the measures, okay, on investigation and on individual manipulation, a significant group effect was found only in relation to the irrelevant behaviors, in which the ASD group showed more irrelevant behaviors in comparison to the children in the typically development group while solving the problem itself. We found group differences on the behavioral scale in relation to the behaviors towards the partner. The children in the typically development group showed more attempts to coordinate their actions with their partner actions by the aid of gestures, as you can see over there here on this bar. Okay? But also very interestingly and surprisingly, we found that the ASD group was more responsive to their partners in comparison to the group with the typically development children. Okay, as you can see you can see it on that bar, the responsiveness. We also examined the differences between the partners, the friends, versus the non-friends, and found that when the target children solved the problem with their friends, they were more responsive to his suggestions and comments, they had more shared fun, and showed more reciprocity beyond group. As hypothesized, the cognitive developmental aspects, theory of mind capabilities, and executive functions were lower in the high-function ASD group than in the typical development group across all measures examined. The next two slides will show the correlations between the level of success in collaborative problem solving and theory of mind and executive functions. As you can see here in the theory of mind measures, higher levels of understanding the problem were correlated with higher levels of theory of mind capabilities in general, and specifically with the ability to explain in both study groups. It is interesting to note that in the high-function ASD group, if you look at the significant positive correlation, here I'm trying to focus it, okay, you see here, okay, in relation to time to success, we see that actually the higher the level explanation, they actually reach the solution at a slower pace. Whereas in the typical development group, you have a negative correlation as expected, and actually they solved the problem faster when they had a higher level of explanation. Also, in the high-function ASD group, higher levels of understanding were also correlated with higher levels of prediction abilities on the theory of mind tasks. In relation to the executive function measures, overall, planning abilities were correlated with higher levels of success in collaborative problem solving. Children with high function ASD that had higher planning abilities understood the problem better and were more efficient when finding the solution when they were working with their non-friend. The children in the typical group that had higher planning abilities understood the problem better and reached the solution faster. As to the cognitive shifting, in the high-function ASD group, cognitive shifting was correlated to the understanding of the problem, showing the children that had higher cognitive shifting abilities understood the problem better, whereas in typical development, they solved the problem faster. So, to sum up what we found in this project, I would like to sum our main findings. First, I would like to emphasize that despite their lower theory of mind and executive function capabilities, high-function ASD children resemble the typical children in showing the ability to learn from experience, as was demonstrated by the novice master profile that we found. Furthermore, the children in both groups, both the typical development group and surprisingly the high-function ASD group, definitely showed more fun, responsiveness, and reciprocity when working with a friend. So we can conclude that working with a friend can definitely be an advantageous setting which can lead to cognitive growth. I would like to acknowledge and thank the Israeli Science Foundation, the ISF, and my colleagues at Bar-Ilan University in Israel, Dana, Galit, and Dov Har-Even. Thank you very much.